Okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining us this evening, for those here in the room and for anybody online, as well as for anybody watching this recording on YouTube later on. We appreciate you paying attention to the TIP, and we're excited to share some information about the TIP and STIP process and how to get involved for the 2025 to 2028 federal fiscal years. I'm Rich Donovan. I'm the Director of Transportation Planning here for the Naugatuck-Valley Council of Governments, which is the host agency for the for the Central Naugatuck-Valley Metropolitan Planning Organization, as well as the co-host for the Greater Bridgeport and Valley Metropolitan Planning Organization. Tonight, we'll be focusing only on the 15-town Central Naugatuck-Valley region, and additional information about the Greater Bridgeport and Valley area will be made available on the NBCOG website, as well as through the Connecticut Metropolitan Council of Governments. With me in the room, I have Desiree Blanchard, the NBCOG Communications and Public Engagement Coordinator, Kevin Ellis, a Transportation Engineer, and Tayo Olale, a Transportation Planner. We also have Rose and Stephen from the Connecticut Department of Transportation's Statewide Transportation Improvement Program Office. And online, we have Jane Dunbar from the CTDOT's Intergovernmental Affairs Office. So just a brief overview of our plan for this evening. We'll be discussing the Naugatuck-Valley Council of Governments, the two MPOs that we represent, and the transportation planning process. We will talk about the Transportation Improvement Program, how to read the document that is available on the NBCOG website, how to find out more about the projects, as well as the involvement of the statewide Transportation Improvement Program. We will discuss air quality conformity and ways that the TIP helps to advance Connecticut's air quality goals. And finally, we'll cover how to get involved and share comments and thoughts or questions about the TIP. To start with, the NBCOG is a 19-town planning region here in West Central Connecticut. At the core of everything we do is advancing mobility equity, which, as you'll see defined here on the screen, we consider mobility for all abilities, ages, and incomes, as well as from anywhere to everywhere. So the TIP is one of the many ways that we're able to help advance this goal across our 19 towns. As we go through this process here tonight, talking about the TIP, we'll be looking at the ways that federal dollars can be impacted by community input and the ways that our local elected officials have control over how those federal dollars are spent. As we mentioned, we are representing two metropolitan planning organizations. The Central Naugatuck-Valley MPO, which is what we're discussing tonight, is the 15 towns in the northern part of the NBCOG region. The Greater Bridgeport and Valley MPO, the four lower Naugatuck-Valley towns of Ansonia, Derby, Seymour, and Shelton, are part of the Greater Bridgeport and Valley MPO, represented in part by us and in part by the Connecticut Metropolitan Council of Governments. The projects and funding we'll be discussing tonight relate specifically to that 15-town region, unless otherwise noted as a statewide or multi-region project. So moving on, we'll talk about what the TIP is and where it comes from, why it's important to us. So as I said, everything we do focuses on advancing transportation equity. Resulting from the Interstate Highway Program in the 50s and 60s, the federal government designated metropolitan planning organizations as a way for localities and municipalities to share their feedback into the federal transportation planning system, to ensure that programs that were destructive to neighborhoods and to residents, to ensure that the federal transportation program never had that same destructive impact on our towns and cities. MPOs play a critical role in programming federal dollars, including through the Transportation Improvement Program, where all federal dollars spent must be approved by the local MPO. The MPO is made up of the chief elected official of member municipalities. In our region, that is mostly mayors or first selectmen, as well as several chairs of whatever the representative board of that community may be. The TIP was authorized by US Title 23, and additional information about the legal background for the TIP is available on the NBCOG website. It does lay out a couple of key requirements. The TIP must cover a 4-year period. So in this case, we are talking about federal fiscal years 2025 through 2028, which begins on October 1st of 2024. It must be a performance-based document, looking at the ways that these projects can advance the goals of the region, the state, and the nation's transportation system, as well as ensuring that we are not harming or working against any of those goals. It must be fiscally constrained. It is based on reasonably expected federal funding levels and cannot exceed those levels. And lastly, it must involve significant public engagement. As part of the reason we're here tonight, and we'll talk about later on in this meeting, feedback from residents, from visitors and travelers is a key way that elected officials can make informed decisions about projects and content of the TIP, and set the direction for transportation policy within their towns, cities, and the region as a whole. So the 2025 to 2028 TIP is a truly transformative document for us. The first TIP written following the passage of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act and the Inflation Reduction Act, which brings significant federal investments into the transportation system. More than $1 billion in total federal, state, and local funding is identified within the TIP for the CNV-MPO region. This includes 480 million in funding specific for highway projects, both within the region and the surrounding areas, as well as 540 million in transit funds. A huge investment in our public transit goals here in the region, and a major step forward in Connecticut's transportation system. As I said, right, it must be a performance-based document. It does look specifically at addressing safety deficiencies. The Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments is a Vision Zero community. Back in September of 2022, the chief elected officials of all 19 towns representing both MPOs voted to establish a Vision Zero target. Vision Zero takes a fundamentally different look at the public transportation system and ways to protect travelers by acknowledging that drivers and those using the transportation system are likely to make mistakes. And rather than trying to plan for a system where drivers must be perfect every time, to build a transportation network that is forgiving of those mistakes in a way that prevents the loss of life or serious injuries after those mistakes happen. To this end, improving safety throughout our region is one of our top priorities, if not the top priority, as we have set the target to eliminate all fatalities and serious injuries on the region's roads by 2060. This is a lofty goal. It has been achieved in other places in the world, and even here in the Northeast, as Hoboken, New Jersey just celebrated their 8th year without a fatality on their local roads. And so we look forward to implementing many of the same successful policies that they have followed to reach that target as well. As mentioned, that 540 million in transit funds does a significant amount to improve access to transit, to improve the quality and frequency of transit, and the number of locations that are served by transit within the region. Key projects that are coming up include the expansion of Whatever Airline service, the continued expansion of Whatever Airline service, the replacement of stations in the area, replacement of vehicles for the bus operators within the region, as well as the standard operating funds to allow those buses to run. And lastly, our region has set a real focus on maintaining a state of good repair for the existing infrastructure network, rather than expanding into new areas that we can't support. This TIP funds heavily projects designed to improve the state of good repair of the existing highway system, of the existing transit network, all without spending money on new infrastructure that cannot be supported into the future. The TIP itself is an inherently technical document and can be challenging for a non-planner to read. And so we'd like to go through and just cover some of the key elements of the TIP project listing that you'll find if you visit the NBCOG website, or elements that are found in the statewide transportation improvement program on the Connecticut Department of Transportation's website. So first is region. Regions in this document are broken out by number. Anytime you see the number 5, that is a project specifically occurring here within the NBCOG, or excuse me, the CNV-MPO region. The code 6 is for the greater Bridgeport and Valley towns that are part of the NBCOG, and code 7 is for the remainder of MetroCOG's towns within the greater Bridgeport and Valley MPO. Other regional numbers can all be identified by referring back to the STIP, which does a fantastic job of laying out those locations. FA code breaks out the federal funding code. or state and local share. So the FA code, again, there's a significant number of federal programs that fund the transportation system within our region and our state. And the statewide transportation improvement program breaks them out in a really effective way to explain what those different FA codes mean. Ultimately, it is the source of the funding that is paying for the projects. The project number is a way that the Connecticut Department of Transportation can identify individual projects. This is not always a unique number. Many transit projects share a number, but it is a way to help, especially on highway projects, differentiate those numbers. AQCD is the air quality conformity determination. So air quality is a key piece of the transportation system's performance-based metrics. Here in Connecticut, we are part of 3 separate non-attainment or maintenance areas, and we'll discuss this a little further. But in order for any project of significant importance to make it into the TIP, it must be modeled for its impact on the air quality within the state. The Connecticut Department of Transportation handles air quality modeling for all of the MPOs across Connecticut, partially because of our interconnectedness and the size of our MPOs, and partially because of the highly technical requirements to effectively model these projects. Projects within the TIP, you'll see have various air quality codes. X6, 7, and 8 are projects that are exempted from being modeling for various reasons. Those reasons are further defined in the STIP. Projects that say CC are projects whose modeling has been completed and are determined to be part of or within the allowable limits for release of air pollutants. And projects that have yet to be modeled, which there are none in this draft TIP, but may come up in future amendments or changes to the TIP, are denoted as such. So town is pretty self-explanatory. It is the town in which the project is anticipated to take place. Projects across town borders may say various or may say statewide. Description is truly the identifier for a project. It is typically a very technical description of the project and its elements. And so the description seen in the STIP and TIP documents does not necessarily align with the broader description field that you'll see on our Eco Interactive portal we'll discuss later. But the description is how the department is able to separate the different projects within the STIP and TIPs. And finally is phase. Phase breaks down which part of a project is happening based on that year and funding amount. And so for phase, you'll see PE, which is preliminary engineering, and PD, which is preliminary design. Those are early steps in a project where concept development is happening. FD is final design. That is the delivery of a full design package. ROW is right of way. This is the part of the project where the department or the executing entity is taking care of any places where the project may encroach on otherwise private property. And CON is construction. This is the actual delivery phase for these projects. So moving on, we will discuss briefly air quality conformity. Again, Connecticut is part of 3 non-attainment or maintenance areas, and the C&V MPO represents all 3 of these. All projects within the TIP must be modeled to show that they will not make the air quality worse here in the state. And so this gives us 2 separate categories that must be modeled. Ground level ozone and PM 2.5, or particulate matter of 2.5 microns. These pollutants are of course of concern to health and safety. They are of concern to the quality of life here in the state. And so it's important that we show future projects are going to improve these metrics, not make them worse. And so the STIP and the related air quality conformity document show the way that these projects are modeled, show how these determinations are made, as well as show significant declines in the amount of released air pollutants compared to the allowable amount set by the EPA. As we go through, you'll see here the orange is the state's allowance based on the EPA's budget for what is allowable to maintain or improve the air quality in the state. And the blue line is the estimated emissions. So ozone itself is not a direct emission, but is the result of the combination of VOC and NOx emissions. And so, as can be seen here from this chart, over the course of this TIP, which covers between now and 2028, and the metropolitan transportation plans, which reach out to 2050 and represent the long-term version of transportation planning, there are significant declines in the total release of these elements to well below the EPA's allowable amount for Connecticut. The same is true for both the greater Connecticut and New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut ozone non-attainment areas. Again, significant declines in the total amount of of emissions related to ground level ozone that should result in improvements in our air quality, especially based on the pollutants from the transportation system. Finally, again, looking at the New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut portion of the PM 2.5 maintenance area. And so this is an area where Connecticut currently does, but did not previously meet emission standards or air quality standards, ambient air quality standards. And so the significant declines here, again, show the declines here show a significant gap between allowable and expected emissions. Again, advancing the state's air quality goals and showing a decline in the transportation system's contribution to this particulate matter. Air quality conformity is an important part of this. We do encourage anybody who's interested to take a look at the air quality conformity determination report released by the state. It is available both on the NVCOG website and on the state's STIP unit website. It does a fantastic job of detailing the way that this modeling is done, how these results are achieved, and the expected long-term impact of this. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Desiree for a moment to talk about some of the ways in which we encourage you to get involved and share your thoughts, questions, and feedback on the TIP, the STIP, and air quality conformity.
Thank you. So as Rich stated, my name is Desiree Blanchard, covering communications and community engagement. And like any other initiative or project that NVCOG or the CMV MPO carries out, we like to ensure that the public has ample opportunities to learn more, ask questions, and provide feedback. And as stated earlier, that feedback is really going to be instrumental and vital to the decision makers to make sure that they're making informed decisions. And so quickly, I want to go over our schedule of events and opportunities to get involved. And what is not represented here, which actually precedes and started this, was on March 1st, we officially kicked off and opened up our public comment period. So that's allowing a little over 45 days for the public to provide us comments, feedback, and the many ways that are going to be listed and, scheduled out here. And then, we also had this meeting tonight, which will be recorded and available for later viewing on our website. The link will be accessible, and it's going to be on the NVCOG YouTube page. And so that would be available for anybody to view at a later date as well. And so on March 22nd, we will hold our regularly scheduled meeting of the CMV MPO that begins at 10 o'clock in the morning. And during that meeting, there will be a dedicated public comment period as well. On April 3rd, we will have the regularly scheduled NVCOG Transportation Technical Advisory Committee, also known as TTAC. That's an additional opportunity for the public to comment during that meeting. On April 11th, we will have dedicated office hours for the TIP-STIP. So we will have a Zoom. Again, this information will be available on the NVCOG website at nvcogct.gov. And so anyone can join that Zoom that begins at 11 o'clock in the morning and can just pop in, talk to our staff here, offer comments, questions, concerns, things of that nature. And then on April 19th, we will have, again, our regularly scheduled board meeting, our regularly scheduled meeting of the CMV MPO, which will be the final opportunity for people to offer their comments, questions, or concerns regarding the TIP. And so other than these regularly scheduled events, people can, again, get involved, leave us input, comments, questions at contact us at nvcogct.gov. And that's the email that they can send it. They can also call our office hours and leave us comments, questions, concerns at any other time. And with that, I'll hand it back to Rich.
Yeah. So as Desiree mentioned, nvcogct.gov is our agency website. This QR code is specific to the TIP-STIP project page, which you can see here on the right. All of the events that Desiree mentioned, as well as the Connecticut Department of Transportation's STIP unit events regarding the statewide transportation improvement program, are going to be available on the calendar tab here across the top of our webpage. If you visit our TIP-STIP project page here, you'll see there's a tab called the 2025 to 2028 TIP and related documents. On this page, you will find the draft project list for the CNV-MPO, as well as related documents for our region, the statewide transportation improvement program, and the conformity determination report released in February of this year. All of these documents are available and open for comments and questions at any time between now and April 19th. Similarly, the project list for the CNV-MPO within the 25 to 28 TIP has been made available on the NVCOG's Eco Interactive project page. This format is very user-friendly. It's designed specifically to provide additional information for the public about TIP projects. Not only will it show you the project's location on a map and the financial breakdown of the project, but it'll give a more accurate description, or a more, not accurate, it will give a more relatable description of the project, its goals. It'll show the performance measures within the region that the project is designed to advance. And you'll see in the top right corner on every project page, you have the option to add a comment. Those comments are sent directly to our staff here. We'll be able to respond to you directly there. Comments we receive over the course of this public engagement period will be added to the FAQ tab on the NVCOG's website's 21 to 25 TIP page. To access Eco Interactive, which I realize I did not include a slide for, it is nvcog.ecointeractive.com. It is also easily accessible from the NVCOG's website, both under the news items, the What We Do Transportation Planning, Transportation Improvement Program page, and under the 25 to 28 TIP-STIP project page. All of those links will bring you to the landing page of Eco Interactive for NVCOG. When you're viewing projects, please ensure that you're looking at the 25 to 28 TIP as the plan that is selected across the top. Additionally, on this page, you'll be able to see the 21 to 24 TIP projects and make comments on those at any time, as well as the NVCOG's local transportation capital improvement projects, otherwise known as LOTCIP, which is a state funding source used by our municipalities to advance local priorities within the transportation system. And so with that, we thank you for your attention to this presentation. We hope that you find the TIP to be at least an interesting topic that we encourage you to look carefully at. It does have a significant impact on the way our communities will look in the coming years. At any time, again, please contact us with questions, with comments. You can send those comments to contact us at nvcogct.gov. You can send them to me directly at rdonovan@nvcogct.gov, as you can see on the screen. You can call our office 203-757-0535. At any time, calling that number, language assistance is available. You can visit our website, nvcogct.gov, to view more about the TIP, the STIP, or any of the other NVCOG projects. And if you prefer, you're welcome to send written comments to us, 49 Leavenworth Street, 3rd floor, and that is here in Waterbury, Connecticut, 06702. Please address those comments to the NVCOG, care of Rich Donovan, and we'll ensure that those get responded to. At this time, we will open the floor for any questions or any comments. And again, we'll be happy to take those at any time between now and the CNV-MPO's regularly scheduled April 19th meeting, at which time the board of the CNV-MPO will consider the new TIP and take an action. Thank you.
Is that what I was thinking?
So we were asked a question regarding the regions between the Central Naugatuck Valley MPO and the Greater Bridgeport and Valley MPO. Within the TIP and the STIP, if you see Region 5, that is for the Central Naugatuck Valley towns, the 15 towns in the northern part of the NVCOG region. Region 6 is the lower Naugatuck Valley towns of Ansonia, Derby, Seymour, and Shelton. Those are the towns that are part of the Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments and the Greater Bridgeport and Valley MPO. And Region 7 is the remaining 6 towns of the GBV MPO that are part of the Connecticut Metropolitan Council of Governments. All right,
So this goes on your YouTube?
with no comments at this time, we're going to wrap up this recording. Thank you for everybody who joined us or who comes in to watch this video later on. Again, it'll be available on the NBCOG YouTube page starting tomorrow, which is Friday, March 8th. And it will remain there well past the April 19th deadline for comments. Any comments we do request be received by 10 a.m. on April 19th, at which time all comments will be conveyed to the CNV MPO board before they take action on the proposed TIP. Please do reach out with any comments or questions. All of the information about contact and other events related to the TIP and STIP is available on nvcogct.gov. Again, we thank the representatives from the Department of Transportation's STIP unit for attending this evening, as well as the representatives from the Intergovernmental Affairs Office. And we look forward to comments and questions. Thank you.